Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Awaken the World. It is the 23rd of January, a Sunday in the year 2022, 5:54 p.m. We are live right now. Why? I'm not sure. Thoughts create feelings. Felt like a good discussion to have. Good to see you all. Hi. The tiger's bottom set of fangs are obviously still at the denturus, hopefully tomorrow. So forgive a little bit of lisping, perhaps. This is a really important little conversation to have on a number of levels, and I want to get a little something off my chest here first. Before I get into that, as always, let me express my love for each and every one of you. And that includes all the foolish people I'm going to be talking about shortly. And it's okay to be foolish. That doesn't make them bad people in any sort of way. No matter what's happening right now, it's absolutely perfect. And I'm going to tell you, there's days I struggle with this too, believe me. And that's the honesty, the recognition that despite the moments of satori, despite the near-death experiences, despite what I know and feel and the communication I get, I still fight, not fight. I still stand and work towards whatever I can do to forward humanity, to help another person, even in the face of our impending doom. And to me, that is what it means to be human. It means to live every minute of life fully. And even if the writing's on the wall, to not be concerned about that, because the writing has always been on the wall. So the thing I want to bring up here and get out of the way first is this colossal. I don't even have words for it. And as I said, I hold nothing against any of these people. I have no conception of the lack of critical thought that would go into the concept that this freedom convoy bullshit is valuable or uniting anyone in any way. As a matter of fact, the whole thing's about separation again. And I just want to share a little minor detail with you, okay? So there's purportedly going to be up to 150,000 semi-trucks and trailers that are going to be traveling from all points in the US and a lot of points in Canada, all the way to Ottawa. Now, if you're in British Columbia and you were to go to Ottawa, it is 3,700 plus kilometers. So what I've done is I've taken some mileage estimates and came up with an average drive in one direction of 2,175 miles. Now, the average semi-truck gets 18 to 28 liters per kilometer. So we average that at 20. That means it's going to take 1,400 liters of diesel fuel in one-way trip. We're not talking about the return trip. This is a one-way trip. We take what's known as the ton per miles, which in this case we're going to average to 20 tons, which is a truck and a trailer, and missing 20 tons worth of cargo. Some of these will have cargo, but we'll average it to 21s, times by the number of miles, times by the grams of CO2 per ton mile that diesel rigs are known to radiate. It's in the manufacturer's specs, and I've taken a look and averaged the figure. And you know what we get? We get on a one-way trip by these rigs over 1 million metric tons of CO2 being put into the atmosphere. In the middle of a goddamn climate disruption crisis that spans the world, with Australia burning, with methane pouring out of the Arctic, with every single Earth system either on the cusp of or right in the middle of a positive feedback loop, reinforcing itself, with civilization on the edge. This is somehow an intelligent response. So I just want to say one more thing. And I'll tell you why I can speak to this, okay? Because unlike the vast majority of people who will ever see this video or are out there protesting and whining about vaccines or anything else like that, most people have never been in a real serious pandemic. I've had the fortune to have worked inside of Africa in more than one. One of them being a TB outbreak. And I just have a little piece of news for you. If you decided not to take the vaccine, if you decided not to wear your mask, TB was going to kill you 8 out of 10 times. What we have going on here is nothing like that. And I got to tell you something. We are melting permafrost so fast, and we are releasing, and I just watched a peer-reviewed interview and talk on the subject by 4 notable biologists and ecologists regarding the Arctic. We are melting out microbes and bacteria and viruses that have not been seen on this planet for upwards of 1 million years. We are deforesting the Amazon at such a rate, and every forest on the planet. What do you think the odds are that COVID is not the most dangerous nor the last? Speaking to all you who thinks this is a great idea and who thinks that this represents some sort of fight for freedom, you don't understand freedom. Freedom isn't about you. It's about everybody in the community. That's what freedom is about. This is a good time to take a deep breath, Garen. Put the tiger back to bed. And discuss what happens when I and everyone else allow their thoughts to impinge upon their state of being. And it happens most times without most people ever being aware that their thoughts are actually creating their feelings. And I struggle with it too from time to time. I can get caught up in the things that I feel very passionate about. And that does not make it an excuse. It is a realization that my own evolving perfection will always be a work in progress. And I wouldn't want it any other way. And neither do you. So Kelly had posted one from The Secret, and I have absolutely no respect for the Secret as it originally existed, and the concept of going ahead and manifesting all these things that you want, all these objects, new house, new car, blah, blah, blah. And we've talked about the dangers of that. But in this case, what's written here is exactly right. The most important thing for you to know is that it is impossible to feel bad and at the same time to be having good thoughts. And we're going to talk about that a little bit. That would defy law because your thoughts cause your feelings. If you are feeling bad, it is because you are thinking thoughts that are making you feel bad. Now, there's a few little glaring problems with that statement, sure, but for the most part, it's absolutely dead on. The issue I have is with the concept of the good and the bad. So here's the way it works. If you think any thought that is contrary to the truth of who and what you really are, that and here's why that works, okay? So your body's intelligence is quite frankly far more intelligent than you are as an egoic being. And if you think that is wrong, just try managing the thousands upon thousands of processes that need to be managed in order to keep you conscious and upright, i.e. above ground. That consciousness that is you still, but a different aspect of yourself, that body's intelligence, that consciousness knows exactly who and what you are. Why? Because it's part of the larger self that's manifesting the body you think you inhabit. So whenever the egoic sense of self exhibits thought processes that are not in alignment with the truth of who and what the being is, the body's reaction is dissonant. And we interpret that dissonant vibration returning as a communication from our body as a negative feeling. And they're not all negative. I feel sad. Sometimes it's nice to feel sad. I feel relieved, feel angry, fearful, upset, whatever it may be you're feeling. It is simply an interpretation by your egoic sense of self of that dissonant alarm bell that your body is sending you, saying, whoa, your thoughts are not in line with who and what you are. They're not in line with the truth of your own personal power and existence here. And you experience these dissonant feelings. So what that really means is when you're dealing with someone else and you find yourself feeling a certain way, you're not always consciously aware of those thoughts, are you? A lot of times they exist in the subconscious. And now it becomes a problem because consciously, it's pretty easy to train yourself, as I've done, to recognize the quality of thought. And then sometimes, because I'm an imp, I make a conscious decision. You know what, ego? Let her rip for a minute or two. Then I'll rein you back. Release a little energy. Go ahead. It's not harmful right now. And that's because I'm an imp. But those conscious thoughts, we can train ourselves pretty quick to recognize them and say, whoa, wait a minute. I'm thinking a thought that's contrary to the truth of who I am. I've got to let that go. And I've got to start thinking thoughts that are in alignment with who I am. So on a conscious level, that's pretty simple. I'm not worthy. It's a long jump maybe to I'm worthy, but it's not a stretch to say I'm becoming more worthy every day. So what about the subconscious or unconscious aspect? The ones that overpower us before we're really aware it's kind of happened. The thoughts that lie behind the thoughts in the silence, hidden in the morass and depths. The boiling sea of the unconscious self. And if you fall in, you're doomed. Well, I'll tell you what those thoughts are. That unconscious sea, that writhing, boiling, dark mass of seething thoughts in your deep well of subconsciousness, unconsciousness. Those are all the things that you still hold some sort of angst about. Those are all the things that you didn't get over. That you're still miffed and upset and feeling mistreated and thinking it shouldn't have been. And those are all those little things. And as long as you haven't dealt with them, they're going to haunt you. Oily tendrils reaching up from the depths of your unconsciousness to subsume the conscious mind and take over and make you relive that past incident again and again and again, like we don't have enough horrors going on. But that's exactly what it is. So how do you deal with all that unconscious stuff? You take time to go back in your life and you begin to look at each one from your higher state of consciousness in your conscious mind. You look at it and you say, now I understand. What did Garen say? Well, nothing bad happens to me. So if that wasn't bad, where's the gift he's talking about? Oh, look, I see it now. There was a gift there. That doesn't mean you have to go back and smile and shake the hand of the guy that hacked your finger off. What it means is you can realize that getting your finger hacked off turned out to be a pivotal moment of your life, and it served you well. And it doesn't have to be a hacked finger. It can be anything. And you know what? When it comes to all other wounds except for physical ones, of course, they have to heal in accordance with the body, but even they too will heal faster. In the moment that you let go of your angst consciously about it, in the moment you resolve it with yourself by seeing the gift in it, seeing with gratitude that creation has only loved you, even if you haven't been able to see it, in that moment, that wound is healed. That wound never existed again. It's gone. Poof. It's over. And a lot of people say, oh, no, you need to heal that trauma. You need to keep a hold of that. You need to talk about it. You need to relive that victim mentality as long as you can and milk it for all it's worth. You can do that if you want, but I would always say, why? You can let them go. You can come to a new, better place of being where that unconscious morass of thoughts is no longer an unconscious morass of thoughts, but a clear, transparent, well, that's the same word. Let's say a transparent pool where the shining jewel of your being is seen glowing at the bottom. Now, how does that apply with my obvious passion in regards to what's going on? Well, I'm all about the future. And from a guy who only knows the present moment, that seems to be a very contradictory statement. But what I'm talking about is the children. And I'm blown away sometimes. I don't even have my own damn kids. I don't. I have no offspring. But I cannot look upon the world's children and not say, you are my children too. And maybe that's what we all need to do. We all need to look at every single child in the world and say, am I willing to stand in front of them and say, the reason you're going to die and live a miserable life is because I want my stuff now. It's not so easy then, is it? We need to, especially when we're dealing with, and you know, Ron had brought up this point, and it's been talked about before. He mentioned it on a climate action for climate change post, and that's why I use words like asleep, for the most part, and unconscious, because there's not some sort of negative connotation attached to it. None of these are bad people. There's no such thing as a bad person. There's only good people making really poor choices that aren't beneficial to themselves or anyone else in a lot of cases. And that isn't to be derided. It truly isn't. But at some point, we have to realize that if we are going to make it any further than we are today, we have got to come together. Not to fight some perceived sense of, you know, I'll tell you, the first one of those truckers who's in a serious accident, God forbid, will be so fucking grateful to go into a hospital and be operated on and fed whatever the hell he or she needs to live. What are we doing here? Like in that movie, Don't Look Up, when Leonardo DiCaprio lost it on the talk show there, you know, how can we even talk to each other? If we're going to behave this way and not see that part of being civilized is a recognition that freedom isn't about personal freedom. Freedom is about freedom created personally by the society. And if you want real freedom, go live alone in the woods. By yourself. I've experienced it. It is freedom. It's also a lot of hard work. A lot harder work than we do in society for pretty much the same damn freedom. The only really difference I noticed in the woods is I could pick any tree to pee on I wanted. Whereas you can't do that in town, it turns out. The point is we have far more worrying things to be coming together on, to be working on. You know, I don't see 150,000 trucks in a convoy bringing a community together or bringing a country together when this country alone has got over 4 million children who aren't eating enough, and over 1 million people who don't have a home. Why can't those things bring us together? Why can't we rise up about that? Because it's still all about me. And I guess maybe that's my ultimate point, is until we realize that there's no such thing as me, that it's all we, and that we is me, and now I've confused myself. Until we see our wholeness, until we see our oneness, until we are willing to look upon the world as if we're the only one. At that moment in that time, maybe we can come together and work together. Change the way we live. Get back in harmony with nature again. But until such time, be mindful what you think. It guides the way you feel. That's it. That's all. Namaste. I hope my lisp wasn't too bad tonight. You're deeply loved, and we'll talk again about death very soon. Good night.